make my opening statement, I want you to see what happens to a child who becomes autistic. And I want you to bear in mind why I feel so strongly about this. Because my grandson was a normal child, and 2 days after, he got 9 shots in one day, several of which contained thimerosal, mercury, 40 sometimes the amount that was tolerable in an adult. He started acting exactly like this child. And this is what parents are going through all across this country, and they have no recourse. I want you to see what these parents are going through with these kids. I could let you watch more of that, but I think you get the general idea. Now, my grandson and thousands of children across this country were normal kids. They got vaccinated with multiple vaccines, and mercury in the brain has a cumulative effect. All scientists will tell you that. It doesn't wash out easily, it gets in the fatty tissues, and it stays there. And so it has a cumulative effect.
A lot of Americans very concerned about the impact of this drug, which is found in vaccines, and how it causes autism. Talk about that.
Thimerosal is a preservative that was put in vaccines back in the 1930s. Almost immediately after it was put in, autism cases began to appear. Autism had never been known before. It was unknown to science. Then the vaccines were increased in 1989 by the CDC and by a couple of other government agencies.
Okay, let me stop you there. That's happened in 1989.
Exactly. What happened was the vaccine schedule was increased. We went up from receiving about 10 vaccines in our generation to these kids received 24 vaccines. And they all had this thimerosal and this mercury, and nobody bothered to do an analysis of what the cumulative impact of all that mercury was doing to the kids. As it turns out, we are injecting our children with 400 times the amount of mercury that FDA or EPA considers safe. A child on his first day that he's born is injected with a hepatitis B shot. Under EPA guidelines, he would have to be 275 pounds to safely absorb that shot.
In other words, a dumbing down, a chemical dumbing down of society. So everyone's sort of mediocre.
A major recall involving toys made in China. Mattel, the world's largest toy company, said it's recalling about 9 million toys due to hazards from small, powerful magnets and excessive amounts of lead paint. The latest recall involves a different Chinese supplier than the one involved in a recall earlier this month, in which Mattel's Fisher-Price division recalled 1.5 million preschool toys. U.S. Senator Dick Durbin is calling for major changes in the way the government recalls defective toys.
When they find a toy that is defective, we don't have the laws to enforce it. In fact, if you can believe this, the law requires the commission to sit down and negotiate with the company selling the defective toy before you put out a press release warning the public. That negotiation can go on for months at a time, and it has.
The toy recalls are the latest in a string of hazards in products from China, ranging from pet food to faulty tires to tainted toothpaste.
Every parent should have the expectation that the toys they buy are not toxic to their kids.
It's been a summer of recalls. Even Barbie isn't safe from the worries that led Mattel to pull millions of toys off store shelves. The concern? Lead in paint that's linked to learning disabilities and other health problems in little children. But activists say this summer's recalls are the tip of the iceberg, and they want to use the spotlight to draw attention to chemicals that may be in countless products at home. Everything from bibs to bottles and, of course, toys. Now, a call for action on Beacon Hill.
Our point is that these chemicals are unnecessary. Recalls happen after our kids are already being exposed, and we need to prevent these toxic exposures in the first place.
Even small exposures to everyday products over time can lead to asthma, disease, and reproductive problems decades later. Until there are stronger laws, parents should be aware of things around the house that release that new car smell. It's a sign chemicals are leaching out.
Developing a society because of all of these different toxins known to affect brain function. We're seeing a society that not only has a lot more people of lower IQ, but a lot fewer people of higher IQ. In other words, a dumbing down, a chemical dumbing down of society. So everyone's sort of mediocre. That leaves them dependent on government because they can't excel. We have these people of lower IQ who are totally dependent. Then we have this mass of people who are going to believe anything they're told because they can't really think clearly. And very few people of very high IQ who have good cognitive function who can figure this all out. And that's what they want. So, you know, you can kind of piece it together as to why they are so insistent in spending so many hundreds of millions of dollars of propaganda money to dumb down society.